Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of Gardens processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The process of understanding is very simple. The process is, as I explained last time, I explained more in detail. We are created out of the rays within the center of the universe. In interaction and reduction in strength and division by the strength in certain strength fields, in collection of the totality of the expansion of the universe, some energies, some dynamic fields have come together. Over billions of years, these fields lead to the creation of what we call the sun. Where the plasma gathers together. The same process repeats again because the sun is the same as the energy center of the universe. Now, the heavier, the larger amount of the energy which is collected in this span of the universe, we call the sun, that it radiates out, does the same thing again. Radiates its fields out, and in interaction with itself, with the fields of itself, leads to creation of planet. In that process of the creation of planet, the same process happens again. In the interaction of the fields of the earth with its environment and cooling and exchange with the strength of the other things in the environment of the space of the solar system, leads to creation of man, cell, matter state. And that itself, in coming together and slowing down in certain ways, as we call, leads to another sun. We call the soul of the man. This is the truth about the life and creation of the man. But if the soul of the man can understand and absorb and be correct with his conduct, he can become the strength of the fields and carry the strength of the field of the planet which came to his creation. And if the soul can understand with the same process, can interact, can be correct, can absorb with itself the totality of the strength of what it needs, he shall become the sun. And then the same soul has the energy that it can absorb within the solar system, within the galaxy, shall become the center of the universe. This happens on earth, we call it the rain. Come from, goes back to. In the solar system, we call it planetary system. We come from the rays, we become the planet and go back to the mother. The same thing happens with the galaxies, with the solar systems, which they get absorbed back in and chewed up back into the universe. The life, the process of existence in the universe is the same. It doesn't matter on what exchange and what extent. So, what is the man fighting for? Why do we fight for something which has come from the point of the creation, and in the process it goes back to the creation? The soul of the man, as the energy of the earth, gives the face of the man, the face of the earth, and that process is the same for the soul of the man. Our soul, in reduction in strength, in interaction with the emotion of the field of the environment, leads to manifestation of the existence of the man. But once it's completed, does it need the face? Or can it be and becomes free from it, what we call the soul of the man, to be free and detached from its existence? Our soul is part of the process of the creation. The key to one question for man shall be in the future to be answered. As we saw the sun became the earth, and as we saw the earth became the man's soul, what will be the destiny of the soul of the man now becomes free at the point of departure from physicality? Would it become the sun for creation of another life, or many lives, or correction of lives? This shall be, and this is how it happens. When you create a soul which is not correct, which is misconduct by itself, cannot give, you lead to the creation of this next cycle of creation, which has started the wrong way, the wrong strength. This is one thing the man has never understood. You become the creator of another universe, another cycle. And this is what you have to judge in the structure of the soul of the man. What would I like that cycle to be? In the physical life, we create children. In the dimension of the life of the soul of the man, what that man, what that soul will create. If man has thought up to now, that's it, my end, my point, when I die is finished, there's as much fallacy that when the sun is destroyed in any shape or form, there shall be nothing left. But we know the parts of the sun becomes part of the galaxy and becomes part of the new life. So shall be the soul of the man. The judgment of the man has to be according to what he sees the future his soul can conduct to be. The day of judgment is for the man, not in front of the Creator. That what my soul judges to be and what shall create. Man never understood and shall never understand till can solve this dilemma within itself. The reality is very, very, very real. And that is, as we've seen, the energy of the galaxy becomes the sun, the energy of the sun has become the earth, and the energy of the earth has become the soul of the man. So shall be the soul of the man, which is the energy itself, another cycle of life. How can you change when you don't understand? How can you change the process of understanding if you do not understand the process of the creation? Do we need to extend the understanding of the man that what is the future he brings? We care about our children, what education they get, what they wear, how happy they'll be, where they sleep. Now the man has to be careful and consider what life shall my soul create. Because those are the children of your soul. As we see, the rays of the sun has become a planet and 7 million children of it. 7 billion unlimited, which is growing. So the soul of the man will go through the same process. How many billions and subdivisions and sub-matter state of the physicality of the man your soul shall create? Would it be the soul of wars and conflict and ever killing? Or would it be the soul of this, let's say, solar system which is peaceful? This is the truth and the reality about the soul of the man. First of all, as I said many times recently, we never understood that the soul of the man is within the structure of the man. And now that we understood, we understand on departure from the physicality of the man, the same process will carry on as it did for a star, planet, and the soul of the man becomes another energy source, a higher order, which itself leads to the creation. It becomes the star, it becomes the center of the new cycle of creation. This is what the human race has to understand. The cycle actually starts at the point of death and not finishes at the point of death. In so many ways, if one understands, is as the dusts, specks of dust came together to make the earth in the solar system, so has the specks of the atoms has come to be the creator of man. And the essence of the creation of the specks of dust on the solar system has led to the creation of the man, so shall be the fields from the soul of the man which lead to creation of another cycle of life. What kind of life man would like to have to be created by his soul? This is the day of judgment. This is what man never understood. Now you have to understand. You have no choice. Up to today you were not aware of it. From today you are aware of it. You are responsible for it. Your conduct has to be to elevate your soul. That in elevating the soul, what you become the creator of stands correct in the conduct of the citizens. We don't give fairy tale. This is the truth. But as you've seen, the process does not stop with one son. The cycle carries on. It's very interesting in how humanity, now knowing the fact, will handle the fact. It'll take decades for man to understand, and then you understand those who become the tools of war, the tools of conflict. They have less, they have nothing to start with. They have to become the dust in the solar systems of the others till the day they learn more, as they cannot create a new cycle through their own soul. This is the elevation of the soul of the man, to be part of the creation of a beautiful life for the next cycle. When you don't have it, you have to become another cell in the body of the structure of the bigger, for you to be just there that you can run where you could have been the soul of the man. They say, do not create fear. I give you the point of love for creation. If you cared about your children on this planet to have the best, your true children come out of your own soul in the coming time. How would you like to educate them? How would you like to be when you are in conflict with yourself and the cause of so much mayhem? This is the truth, and a man will take a long time to understand, as now that we understand the soul of the man is an operator for the creation of the future extent of the life of the man. Whatever is gathered by the soul at the end becomes his point of reference of his own creation, of his own dimension. But the strangest thing is, what he creates from his soul shall become the creator of the other souls. This is the beauty about the creation, and one understands it, understands no limitation. Any questions?
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the 470th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I'm host once again in these weekly Knowledge Seekers programs. And once again, we are fortunate to have the presence of Mr. Mehran Keshe to guide us and direct us here today. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, we welcome you back, and we hope, as usual, we understand a little bit more by sharing knowledge with each other, as we are all knowledge seekers and no one is above other. In the understanding of what we heard as an intro, and this is what was months and years ago when it was talked about, and with the knowledge we have today and the way we have developed the technology, we come back to the same point. It's not just the soul, it's understanding how the man will travel the span of the universe in two ways. The dream of the man, the spaceships, the UFOs, a dream which is there, reachable, and man technological development and achievement has brought him on the verge of just getting there. But with the knowledge we shared, with understanding of the creation we had shared in past few months and years, we have to come to understand that even those passengers of these UFOs, which we thought they have a lot of knowledge, is nothing to what knowledge man has gained. Beyond the spaceships, beyond dimension of the motion of the physical matter. In the teaching of past few months and to come, and in evaluation and evolution of the science that it'll gonna spread from now on, man would not need any spaceship unless he chooses to travel in the dimension of physicality. Only man chooses to be part of the physical part, or man chooses to be part of the energy part. Energy meaning that in a way travel above the strength of the energy of the matter state, observation, detection. In a way, if we look, the creator has been in that position. Manifestation, we know of its essence, we know what's creation, we know what is created, but we don't see it because he's in a state of level of energy, not in a state of matter, observation. And the state of observation of the smell, taste, sight belongs to man. Man has chosen that way, not the creation. As other creatures of the universe use other senses which is not even open to man. How can the blind man see the beauty of the creation? How a blind man can see the beauty of the sunrise or sunset? Doesn't matter how you explain it, unless he sees it through the strength of the soul of the man himself. How does his soul interact with the rays of the sun at the sunset when they interacted with the earth? Then to him, sun has a meaning, sunrise has a meaning, sunset has a meaning. We see it with the eye of the man, he sees it with the interaction of the soul. Now we have to come to understand this. Now we have no choice. We spoke about the X-rays and gamma rays and radiation and the magnetic fields. But how do we understand these? How do we create rays that is not even known to man today? If you would have spoken about the X-rays 200, 300 years ago, that it goes through the body and gets the bone, they would have hung you in the churches in Europe. But today, where are you going? I'm going for an X-ray. We understand something new, we learned. Now we have to learn about the other rays, the rays which lead us to the creation and lead us to the creator. How do we go? How do we understand these things? How do we create these conditions? At the present time, we have started to introduce the basic tools, the first two wires which made the noise and what could hear from one end to other in 1944, and we saw the beginning of the telephone communication. Now the tools we bring in through the Keshe Foundation, which is unknown in the world of the existence, are that first call, can you hear me? This is what we teach you. Many of you tried and pre-tested in the last 2 months that you came with your headphones to us, and then through the systems, 100 all of you through your souls to the center in Linz. But that was your cutting point, because on the test of the 20th of January, we connected through the waves of the creation to our center. There was no telephone line communication. So we have introduced for the first time that hello, can you hear me? Here, last month, in the process of you to understand how the next step comes, where that position in Austria where the fields were generated now goes back to the star, goes back to the universe, goes back to the world of the creation and the universe and the creator. This is the first hello. We have started introducing systems that you can, in front of you, see how you communicate one to the other, you receive energy from each other. And then from there, how that unit communicates again with the generator of this noise, the fields, whatever you call it. That man today has no tools to measure. The understanding, the new technology of the space plasma technology is the evolution in the science that the man will grab with 2 hands and will take it across the universe to teach. Not only for another man, but the citizens of the universe. The maturity of the knowledge of the creation is a gift given to man if man understands and appreciates the gift. It's like you grab a most beautiful toy in the box and you give it to a child. He takes the toy out but plays with the box because he does not appreciate the beauty of what you bought as a toy. To educate him, to enhance his understanding. So man, at the moment with what we bring you, you still play with the box. You have not seen the beauty of the toy. What is there to educate you with? In the coming time, in the coming weeks, especially coming into the next session of the what we call communication in 20th of February, we extend this limit. We call it dining with the Creator. Bring every one of you all the best things of your nationality and your culture on the table of the food on Sunday. And we see how the other ones will taste it, how the other ones will take energy from it. How do we absorb energy from each other without knowing? Many times I explain to you that we absorb 80% of the energy from our environment, and 20% is what we consume in the dimension of physicality. I'll give you a test, and if you understand this test, you will be open to a new dimension of understanding. Many of you have the habit to take a shower. Many of you have a habit to take a bath and soak in the warmth of the water, or take what we call a warm shower or a cold shower. Next time when you take a shower, remember those sprinkles of the water are the rays of the love of the Creator, which is around you but you don't see. You feel the drops of the water on your body, but you have become ignorant to those drops of love from your Creator. When you get up in the morning, weigh yourself, go on a scale. 72 kilo 0.4. Oh, I'm fat. Take a shower. Spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the shower in a nice warm water. It spreads from the shower head without any discrimination. Shall I hit the head or shall I hit the top? Come out of the shower. Go on the scale. It says 72.6. 100 gram, 200 gram extra weight. Where did that come from? You absorb the energy of the water. Exactly the way you absorb the energy of the creation, that 80%. Then do something else. One day, take a shower at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then at 12 o'clock, and then at 5 o'clock in the evening. And do the same thing. And see how much the variation in the energy you absorb has become in. If you absorb 50 or 100 gram in 10 minutes in the shower from the heat of the water, then you understand how much you absorb 24 hours a day from the rays of the Creator. You didn't eat anything in the shower. You didn't touch, you didn't drink the water. But the energies has been absorbed. That's from the skin of the man. This is how our soul, our energy, our body absorbs energy, fields of the universe. Then, this is what I've been telling you. I gave you the biggest gift man ever could understand. Creation of the cycle of the fields of the universe in the background. You never understood. We showered you with the fields of the images of the universe. We gave you the tools to understand. But again, man played with the box and left the toy because he couldn't understand it. Now, in the process of the teaching, in the process of what is to come, we start teaching you to play with the toy. What happens if you press this button? And what happens if you turn that knob? And what happens if you hold it up and let it to play? Or do you still want it to play on the ground? It has no legs. In the coming time, in the teaching which we have taken, we start introducing the application and understanding of the fields of the universe. You do not need to go to CERN, you do not need to go to the most advanced plasma centers of the world to understand more than the professors in these centers, which are ignorant to the truth themselves, trying to confirm in a dimension of physicality where the creation has a different dimension. We try to explain, we try to physically show what these things can do. We have introduced the first communication systems in the Keshe Foundation, the new plasma technology line of communication. But we give you a little benefit on the side that I'm happy to get, but this must work. But you never thought, if this gives me a little bit of reduction in energy, it must give me other things which I don't see. And for the first time, we have packaged the two, your understanding of the fields of the universe and the energy source in front of you. When you buy the combination pack of the Keshe Foundation, these will be historical because I have one of the original ones which was created where my soul could convert, could interact with the others. The new structures which we have brought in step by step is part of this evolution. It's part of understanding the world of creation, where you see it, you physically interact with it. And then I want to call my mom. She's in New York. I'm in London. But I only talk. I don't know how she feels. I only see she's not telling me the truth, what's going on there, what she's suffering from, and what it needs, what is not needed, and what is the situation with her. This time, at the moment, you listen to the voice, and that voice can tell you a lot of things which is not real to you. But using the system, understanding the work of the system of the creation, you see the soul of mom. Hi, mom. How's your physicality doing? How can I help? Not a word uttered, but through emotion and interaction of the fields, the line of communication reaches there. This is not far-fetched because you do it without the system we introduce. We're just giving you a tool when you're asleep and you see mom. When I was younger, as a student in Manchester and London, my parents were in Iran. Those days we had to book a time to make a call, maybe one day a week to speak to mom and dad. If there was time allocation, that the central telephone call would call us back and say, your time has come to call. And they ring the other side. Oh, mom wasn't home. Even I wrote a letter 3 weeks ago that, mom, this day I'm going to call you. That was living in the most advanced Western nation of Europe. And it was the same with the rest of the world. Mom was not there because she didn't receive the message in writing. And then you sleep at night. Mom comes to the dream. I have sent you a letter. You wake up in the morning, the postman rings. I have a letter from a foreign country from you. I think it's your mom, because the postman knows this letter always comes from Iran. That time we were the only foreigner in the area. I wanted to make sure I know you wait for a letter for your mom. Now we give you that tool. You don't need to dream. And you don't need to wait for the letter. Now man lives in the most advanced planet in the universe, not the most advanced city of London in the Western world. Now you can make that communication. And then gradually you get trust in it, that it works. You test it to understand the limitation. And in time, you come to understand we played with the box too long. We played with the box far too long. Now is the time to take the toy out of the packing and start playing with the toy, to understand what knowledge is going to give us, what education is going to bring us, and how the man will evolve with this knowledge. Which are the toys on the table which I can play with different than I had up to now and I didn't know. The teaching and the knowledge of today is that step for the man. We brought you the box as a magnet, and you're still playing with it. Those of you who understand it will put it down and start playing with the toy. The combination unit, which now we have put in, and you will see how you will play with it, is the beginning of the new generation of the communication in the universe. In a way, a universal system. Through the packs of energy, you can feel the emotion of a planet before you arrive. How would I feel? How would I find myself in this planet, on this star, in this position in the universe, or in that part of the universe of the universe? Would I feel happy in the dimension of the soul to go to planet Zeus, even though many people come from there, but I cannot stand the weather. I cannot stand the weather in the dimension of the fields, not in the dimension of the storms and the rain. What do I need? What would I eat? Would I kill an animal or another being in the universe to take energy from it? Or am I educated to know where the fields which I need come from, that I can tune into it in the strength? And then, the most important part of the game, even you tune to it, become humble enough to receive from it, not to become arrogant that I've got it. The law of the plasma works everywhere the same. To receive it, you have to become humble. Then you attain the strength of it. When you see a lamb, you don't slaughter it, but you become humbler than the lamb, that it can feed its energy to, and it can enjoy the pleasure of the emotion of it. In a way, you become the lamb to the lamb. If man understands this, man has broken the chain of understanding the knowledge of creation. I have told you from the beginning, the bigger plasma gives to the smaller. If you're arrogant that you think you're bigger, how can you receive? Giving is the job of the lover and the creator, and not the man. Man always has been the receiver and shall be the receiver. As without it, he cannot exist. Be humble to understand that you understood more. Now become you actually understood nothing. And then you strive for more, to understand more, to be, as we say in Farsi. The bigger the tree becomes, the more it bends down to the ground. Bows to its creator. This is the key to understanding the magnetic field of the universe. What you call magnetic field in motion, what we call energy. If you understood this, you have made that strive. You have made that change. You have made that, what I call, leap in the knowledge from the matter to energy. Then how many of you are still looking to make a matter? Or you make magrav in different shapes, form and dimensions to get access to the world of creation, to the energies of the universe. Try to understand. Try to evolve to the next step. Try to interact with the fields of the universe. And then see what you got from them. And when you got, you understand you must have been the weaker, not the stronger. In the dimension of physicality of the man, we become bosses, the kings, the rulers, to take more. to receive, to take what we want. In the dimension of the plasma is reverse. The humbler, the weaker you become, the more what we call humbleness, understanding that you know nothing, the more knowledge you receive, the more energy you receive. Then you have to understand how the fields of the universe works. How you travel from A to B. You're a tiny little soul trying to go to a giant star. How do you get there? How do you make your way to there? And if you go too fast, you absorb and become nothing, because the field of the energy of the sun will literally dilute you, does not absorb you in the totality of the fields he has. How can you live within the center of a star, the biggest star in the universe, and still be your soul? Still understand, still observe, still enjoy the existence in the center of a star, or on its surface, or in the way to it. Then you understand you still have a lot to learn. You're still on the back of a donkey, and you see a jumbo jet flying about. But this time, the difference is in knowledge, not in the dimension of physicality. The knowledge of understanding the world of creation, then understanding the process which this world of creation of the Creator works, not by a wheel, by a drill and a jackhammer. You cannot do what you've done in the dimension of physicality. You have to live exactly the reverse of what you do in physicality in the dimension of energy. In the recent past week, we have developed a beautiful observation point of this in transmutation and transportation. We watch our knowledge seeker seeking to travel in the dimension of the soul, but he falls in the dimension of physicality. And we see that change. We see the shift of the soul coming out of the body. For the first time ever, scientifically we can show when your soul moves beyond the boundary of your physicality. We have the tools. We have made the measurement tools for it. It creates a funny shape like a double M. Literally, it's like a McDonald's, upside down or the other way around. When the man goes and tries to go to transmutation from the dimension of the soul of the man to the dimension of physicality, what we call the spirit, and back. For the first time, we have recorded how the soul is encaged within the soul of physicality, the soul of the man, and all that with the dimension of physicality and the physical dimension of the environment. For the first time, we have recorded how a man tries in the soul to jump out, to extend it, but he fails to. For the first time, on the 19th, we'll watch how you, as a knowledge seekers, as a collective soul, will strive to attach, to detach from the fields of the universe. Now we have a tool, the first basic tool that the man can understand. The first, what we call understanding of the totality, the first combination of the fields, the interaction of the fields, how the soul of the man, how the understanding of the soul of the man will come to exist. It's very simple. I'll show you something. Then you understand. If I put you in a position that for the first time you can understand how your soul works, how your soul of physicality sits amongst its dimensions, and then you will understand you have understood nothing. You have to come to understand the totality. And then you understand how physical man has become. You will observe the flight of the first man. And then you will see what it means. This is one of you as knowledge seekers who is trying to reach limits. You see the game of the soul. The green line is the soul of the man. The blue line is the soul of the environment. It could be the earth, it could be the Mars, it could be universe. Then the yellow and the red is the soul of physicality and the physicality of the man. These are tools, simple tools that I could explain to the knowledge seekers that they could make for them for the first time to see the physicality, to see the soul. Then observe on the left side, the soul is subordinate, is engaged in all three. The man attempts to make that flight, to free the soul. And on the right side, you see the soul is above the physicality, the soul of the physicality and the soul of the system. This is the point when the man takes that leap. This is the advancement in the knowledge of the creation. This is the advancement in understanding. And this new picture, you see he has made that leap. But he fails and he tries again and he holds on. Now you see the soul encapsulates the physicality of the man, the soul of physicality of man, and the soul of his environment. Now, with which environment the soul can interact with? Because now he has engaged what he has engaged in for centuries and decades. This is a graph of you, one of knowledge seekers who's flying through the soul. He's been trained, he works relentlessly to get to this point. Now we move that soul. And now, in moving that soul, we bring the physicality and we bring the exchange. You see in this picture how that double M comes in, where the green lags behind the physicality and going through a transition leads the physicality, comes out first. And we see the soul switching from extending the physicality of the man and the system to becoming entrapped by it when it wants to. These are data. Now man has that first hello. For the first time, we have created systems, measurement systems, and in the coming weeks, more complicated and sophisticated system like this will come that we can show you when your soul expands the dimension of your physicality and when you become physical. And what is there give you that fear of leaving? But the beauty of this question to ask on this graph is, did the man die? Just because his soul extended beyond his physicality? Or did it get in touch with mom, who passed away decades ago? Now you understand. When I explain to you that the knowledge we have brought is beyond understanding of the matter, it'll take you a long time to decipher this message. Switching, jumping, wanting to be in the dimension of physicality, and then jumping to embrace the physicality. And then when we ask from, he says, I'm in Linz, I'm there. He's truly there because he came out to come to Linz. This is the first time you see the flight of a soul recorded. We haven't spent billions to create these systems. You don't need CERNs and multinational operations of financing of trillions. Knowledge seekers with the true knowledge of the creation and a few pieces of tools. The graphs we showed you from the 16th of December and the 20th of January were from kilometers away from where this system sits. This time we flew directly inside this. What you saw last time was how you collectively interacted with the soul of Creator. Now in this, how you see man interacts with his own physicality in dimension of creation. Then you see how transparent man is to the Creator, as he does not see the what we call the red, the blue, and the yellow. He interacts with the green, with the soul. Now you understand what is to come. And now you understand how is to come. This time is not that first hello that somebody else comes and make a transistor and somebody else comes to make something else, and 200 years down the line somebody comes and makes you the apple phone. Now the knowledge is seeing this graph, it'll be the same today and in 1 billion years down the line. It depends what you choose, how you choose to get to the path, to reach to this level of understanding. Communication through the soul, interaction with the soul of physicality, and how and where the man decides to be. Do I need to get on the jumbo jet or on the back of a donkey, or do I get on the line of the magnetic fields of the universe through the dimension of the plasmatic energy and land where I want instantaneously? This is maybe for the first time you understand when they say there is no time in the universe, as you created that time. There is no position in the universe, because in the interaction of the fields you choose, you create that dimension. I have to tell you something very strange. This soul you see, there's nothing, is not in the system. It sits next to the system. So the soul has learned how to come out. But the beauty of it is, if you understand it, we have created the most humble in the strength of the field of the universe in our labs, that he can come to us. We are not there to give to him. We just put that little torch at the end of the line. We are here if you want to come. It's you who has the strength. We are humble enough to receive. Not that we have the most powerful unit sitting in lens and we attract it. It's a way, in a way, when you take a baby for a first walk in a shopping center. We all walk. We're all busy to go from one shop to another to another. And this child, holding the hand of the father, takes the first steps. And she's so beautiful that everybody looks at her, enjoys her, seeing the first steps of the life. A man is in that child, in the supermarket of the magnetic fields and the radiations of the universe, taking that first steps. I'm here. Now I want to join to walk. Now, physically, we have systems which can show you. Physically, you can follow where your soul goes. And then you see the beauty of it, the gap between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of it, the physicality of it, and the soul of his impact. You can always go above in a strength to interact with a higher order. And when you reach that point, at one point, you reach to come to touch back itself, the point of creation and the creator. Mankind soon will understand, will unravel, and will understand this graph. How man switches between the dimension of physicality for the soul to be subordinate, and how he can jump to become in the strength lower, that he can interact all to be within, not the strength to be higher, that I encompass everything. This process of understanding the fields of universe is interesting if the man understands. Then we'll see the new tools in the dimension of the strength of the travel, in the strength of the fields of the universe. I brought you to the point of creation of love. You're giving up to understand the strength of your own and not others. I said to a knowledge seeker, we test you with love. We give you more, and that by you choosing, you understand how much you suffer, that the love of the Creator is more important than love of physicality. By loving more the dimension of physicality, you come to understand that love of the Creator is far beyond the love of physicality. We test you with love, not with gold. In the dimension of creation, that's how it works. Man, in the dimension of physicality, as it was said, we made gold to test the man. The dimension of his existence. In the dimension of the soul, we test you with love. That's giving unconditionally the way the Creator did, and led to the creation of Mitra and the earth, and the love of their existence with the child. Now maybe you understand. Look at this graph and think, where am I? Under. And in understanding, I can be free. On the left side of the picture, you see the struggle to move out, being inside to get out, to change the phase. And then, as is tradition with a man, every now and then, fall in the dimension of physicality. Is it there? Am I still got a connection with it? But you see, it does not matter where you go, you come back to it. Treasure this picture if you understand it. And for the first time, you understand the work of your soul and physicality. I hope today I brought you for the first time to see the confirmation of your soul and the struggle man has to keep between its energy fields and its physicality fields, which itself is a dimension of energy. And then, maybe in the future, we'll see more. You understand? We come to comprehend the process of existence. And then I decide to arrive at the point and destination, because I know the field strength of the mom. I'm coming for dinner, mom. Bring me the soup of the energies of the universe and his knowledge, even though you died in the dimension of physicality 40 years ago. I hope you understood a lot today. And I hope, as I said, we're opening the path to the knowledge of the creation. And it's so simple, because you've been educated in the dimension of other sides for past 10 or 15 years. We go to a break and we come back. And I try to share knowledge as much as possible to see how we go from here on. Now that you have seen your own soul, I can put you through the same system and you can see your own soul. The flight of the soul is extremely beautiful. You took a picture of yourself going somewhere. Now you have the picture of the separation of the physicality and the soul of them. There is no price to this. Rick, can we go through? We can come back, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. You'll just okay, this is the 470th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, and we'll take a short break and be back for a question and answer session after the break.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before.
Okay, welcome back to our 470th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. This is the second part, and usually we have questions from the community. Is that how you'd like to continue, Mr. Keshe, or is there something else you'd like to say?
Now we see what comes up and how we can answer it. There's a couple of things which we have received a lot of questions from a number of people. Is about a couple of new products which Keshe Foundation released last week. We get a lot of inquiries about NEGANs. This is a specific material developed by the Keshe Foundation. We've been holding it for a long time. It's mainly for what we call, it's a clinical, what we call trial internationally by all of you. You have to fill in as we did with the glasses, because we have a plan for this for the future, that you enter as part of a clinical trial to see how it brought you, what changes it brought, how it reduces something or brought you comfort in another, and it's part of the wellness unit of the Keshe Foundation. This has a very specific structure, and you find it in the, what you call, the GANs section of the store of the Keshe Foundation. Is called the NEGANs. It can be used for anywhere where there's a cartilage or ligaments, and it has a specific way to use it. As usual, many of you always participated in these trials. When you take it, report back to us, because then, as you remember, when we introduced the glasses and the other things you reported, we developed, we understood what part was needed to be corrected, strengthened, and for what purpose, which led to the, what we call, further research and development of new technologies. This NEGANs is very, what we call, important for us, because it will teach us, not teach us, confirm to us in the conversion of the energies into plasma of physicality. Because when you're dealing with a knee, you have a bone, you have a cartilage, you have a ligaments, you have more or less everything to do with the dimension of physicality in that position, be it joints in the shoulder, be it the hip, be it whatever. We want to know which strength, which way it goes. How would it reduce? How would it give you enhancement? Report back to us. And as we learn from the glasses and we learn from the other parts, we go to the development of this position. Those of you who are with the Keshe Foundation close with us, when you look at this, for example, the enhancement units that now we managed to bring to the dimension of the soul, the original one of this was created and tested some 4 years ago in China. We built the first basis of this in a different dimension, and we shipped it from Austria to China, and we tested on Chinese with knowledge seekers in China being with us, testing it with us, gave us a lot of knowledge in the background, the things, the limitations of what needed to do, which now you have the enhancement units of today. But all these units were manufactured, produced in Austria. Now it's the same position. We want to understand, follow the instruction, and tell us within a week, within 2 weeks, what happened, what changed, what is strengthened. Loose kneecaps, get their position. I want to know how long it took, how it took. If you put something new in the usage yourself, that shows us another way to do things. So this is not something for just buying and holding. It's for you to test. You have a problem with your cartilage, you have a problem with your joints, pain or whatever. You want to know all of it. It's a limited amount of supply. It takes a long time to produce it. It's taken years of research to develop it. And it's it's something we need to know now, as we'll use this knowledge in the process of the manifestation of physicality in the dimension of soul. I'll explain this in more in the future. And it was the right time to release it. So if you have any kind of unwellness with your joints or whatever, with a cartilage or whatever, if you enter this trial, we want to know immediately around the world what effects you've seen. And then from this we go to our, what I call, next steps of understanding. Well, at the same time, last week we launched the combined unit, which is the new communication headset unit with its communication pack, which gives you a small amount of energy reduction if you use it. It's a tabletop unit, and again we released this, is on the store as a combination pack. This will be good when you start communicating with us and with each other without the new telephone lines. When somebody tells you, I love you in Sydney, to the one who is in New York, you know the true love. It's not anymore games on the internet. The head unit is separate than the transmission unit and the energy pack unit, and these are literally marketed as one. These are the first telephone calls, as I explained to you. We kept it this way and we release, and hopefully very soon you will see it in demonstrations as one of the blueprint days. And as we said, this is the next step. The energy enhancement unit, plasma units for the, what do you call it, domestic use, again, is in the market. And actually deliveries should have started this week, but we had a slight problem with what we call the situation internationally. So next week or so should be, those of you who bought it, on the way to you. So you can see we start delivering advanced space technologies in a very simple way, and understanding the new understanding, and then connecting with each other, connecting with communities, connecting with the needs of communities, and then we go to the next step. The same as well, we now see how you helped us with the two brothers, which some of you helped us, and we still need huge amount of help because it's an ongoing project. Yesterday, I had the pleasure to watch with the mother showing that the boy for the first time can touch the ground. And what the mother explained to us is that, what if you remember, both boys have a genetic defects which destined for them not to be with us in the dimension of physicality by young age, in their teens. The mother and father say, for the first time, we have seen the evolution of deterioration has stopped. The mother put the camera on the floor and she says, look, for the first time he can touch the ground. And the toes move. So what you helped us on, what we participated in the life of two young boys, the parents have seen the results. We have interfered with genetic, what we call correction. I will see these two boys again in the next 7 days, 10 days, when physically we can see how much we have brought what was destined for them to die through the genetic defects, the correction, to be able to touch the ground again. Or for the first time a child kisses a mother. The technology is we reach the soul of the child, not the physicality. And the dimension of the love of the parents give the existence to change. We don't work in the world of medicine. We work in the essence of the love of the Creator for the soul of the man. You helped us, we initiated the move, and the two boys, two brothers, see the change. the knowledge is deep. The knowledge is understands the creation, the process of the creation. And then we see what comes up next. What will be other gains? We cannot go faster than our knowledge seekers understand the process. And then we see the change. Then we see the change through the knowledge and technology scientifically and not but prophecy. Are there any questions?
Remind our attendees here, they can raise their virtual hands and then we can open your microphone so that you can speak. Freed has a question in the live stream. The graph of today is the way to expand the soul, then, the graph of today, if that is the way to expand the soul, then what is the graph of the meeting with the Creator that showed through our own line of connection in December, where the lines merged perfectly? Could you compare them?
There's no comparison. That was a different system. This is a different system. Don't, just because you see graphs on the same machine doesn't mean the same thing.
Okay.
The graphs we showed you during the Christmas, what we call time on the 16th, that was collective work of all of you in a physical dimension. This graph we showed you today is one man in the dimension of the fields of a totally different system and totally new technology, what do you call it, new environment of technology. This is individual person with his own soul. The other one is the struggle of the totality, and then how you reach unity. Even if you look at this picture, you see sometimes if we show you, we have a number of pictures taken through this process, we reach that point of equality when all becomes one. We have quite a number of it when the soul of the man and the physicality becomes one. And we see it. I can show it to you very clearly. This is the same man in different part of the test. But the system in the 16th and the 20th is a different measurement, it's different understanding. You see, on the left side, he reaches and sometimes jumps up. The physicality wants to confirm. And he has had the struggle to jump up for the soul to take off. When you look at the three peaks, if you see the green comes out last, and it's still superseding the physicality and the soul of physicality and the soul of the system. Somewhere in the middle, he panics. You see, he still wants to confirm he exists, and you see that little jump in the middle, all the three jump, but the soul carries on. Because soul cannot make a mistake when it commits itself. It's the physicality which makes the soul to react. This is when you do the sins, when you do something wrong, you see the physicality does, and the soul tries to compensate later on. If you understand these graphs, these pictures, the way it is and how we communicate with the person on the other side, we know where these things come in. You got to realize when we make this test, the volunteer has tried to keep his soul still in the motion of coming, but he still has to respond to us in the dimension of physicality tens of thousands of kilometers away. when we can add, which now is getting built. You saw that vertical flight system, vertical unit, which was just shown a few minutes ago. That unit, part of it is nearly complete. It's going to be installed in the next few weeks, and then it comes into operation. With that, we don't allow this change of mind or fear of travel. You get the comfort of the guarantees. So if you look at this picture, the straight line, this is a man with his own physicality, which will come the truth they want to go. You saw the same straight line in another system for another condition. Does not mean the same. But in essence, the whole of all the physicality of the man and his soul become one. There, the whole of all the physicality of the man became one with the soul of his creator. And it was 150, 60 of you. Here is one man struggling with his own soul. That's the difference. Any other question?
Well, Claudia had a similar question. Perhaps you've answered it. Did the graphical system show the results of only the participants who had their microphones open during the event, or 100% of the participants?
It's those who participated. The microphone does. We did a test, especially yesterday in the flight test, to confirm this. So yes, if you are there, you have a microphone open, your headphone is on, and you're connected to our system. Yes, you come in. Let me explain to you something. I'll show you to you how we know is there. We do a lot of work, and if you hear me today stuffing and sniffing, is because of this. I spent in a very cold weather in the center, and I got a very bad cold. What happened here? Something. Oh, Zoom has changed its thing. Zoom has become more complicated. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I've never seen this feature. Here's a new feature on Zoom.
Yeah, I've seen it come up before. It didn't come up for me when I tried it, but it does have a draw,
the white
draw thing on the left there, left top.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. How come we can't use it? I cannot use, sorry, I'm trying to draw something.
Maybe I need to, I'm co-editing your whiteboard for some reason.
Maybe, no.
I think it should work. I think it'll work for me if I try it.
No, it's not working.
I can't get it to work. So did you try clicking on the little draw? What do you call it? Like a pen on the left side there?
I've tried everything. I'm scratching everything possible.
Oh, okay. Let's try it differently then. Let me.
You share and I.
Yeah, let me stop the participant sharing, and maybe if
you open a whiteboard.
Yeah, I guess I can do that. Let's do it that way. Can you see that and work with that?
You can see it, but I cannot. I can see your pen, but I can annotate.
Maybe I have to do something here.
Well, maybe we have to do a test afterwards and learn what's the new feature. No, I cannot. Hide reaction, webinar setting, raise hand. No, it's not coming in.
I'm trying to see if I can have a.
Maybe, oh, it's my pen. Ooh, let's go back.
Oh, it works.
Back as my pen has most probably de-energized. If you let go, I open the whiteboard on my side and test it.
Okay.
Ignorance is a blessing. Oh, yes, it's my pen. Okay, no problem.
Magic. Okay, thanks.
Now I lost the thread of thoughts. What were we talking about?
It was about the question had come up about the graphical system showing the results of only the participants who had their microphones open during the event, or 100% of the participants.
Okay. Yes. Now I experienced this. Thank you very much. If you remember, you're all familiar with this now, that in the room we have, oh, my finger is better than the pen. We have a system here, we have a system here, which this was system 1, this was system 2, and we have 3 initial system. If you remember, months ago, you started with seat number 1, and then 2, and then 3. These 2 systems, since last week, have been installed with a universal communication system, which means in the 16th of December test, we had telephone communication between here and our center. That's how we did the first. On the 20th, we did a test. We cut this off, which means the only way our system communicate with the research center, which they receive their power and everything else of the expansion, is only through the new communication system. Yesterday, we had to test this. Does it work, or is it only there? We put a person in here, oops, with communication, and a person here on remote, not in the center. 2 different parts of the world. And we took the graphs back in the center. What we saw was very simple test. We took the graphs, we watched the way you've seen the variations, and we have in our graphs, I think you've seen it before, what we call constant fields of our system, which is like goes bits up and down as you've seen it. Then what we did, having these 2 for at the same time, 10 or 15 minutes in, we monitored the graph, and the graph was very, what we call, very much, if you look at it, with all the things you get and everything else. But when our system is on what we call a standby, with nothing going on in these 2 with the line of communication, the graph has a constant rhythm of like this. So this is when we have 1 person in or 1 person out, and this is when the system runs, where we have nobody in, and we see this, we know we are on our what we call a standby condition. What we did, we drew this out of the room. In a way, we took this out. And instantaneously, this graph disappeared. Where what we had was gone. And we had this graph. Even though we still had one person in one system through telephone lines sitting in the room. So it confirmed to us our system communication works within this environment. And anything outside is not affected. So if you are not connected through our system in the setting, doesn't matter where you are. We have it now. We had to do this test yesterday because we had to confirm it. And now, because now there is no connection between the UNO Center and the research center where the backup structure is. Now we've seen, so the backup structure in our research center is connected, and what goes inside is, inside here is all of you, 100, 170 of you, whatever, when you come in. And these two systems are slightly different from each other in, what do you call it, performance, even if they look the same. And we have seen now we are going in an advanced way of bringing transmutation in. Now even our reactors, as of yesterday or this week, are set to specific angles, which is the gravitational field angle of the Earth. We're going to the precision, we're fine-tuning. The x-axis of the Earth is slightly tilted. If I go 2 degrees that way or the other way, I land in planet Zeus and in planet Gypsum. So all this fine-tuning has started. And all these tests we do in between is to find out what we need to tune, what we need to adjust to come in. So if you are halfway connected, non-connected, you are not part of it. But again, we done test with a microphone set open and closed, and we still get this graph. But we prefer the microphones open because it gives us a more detailed communication both ways. Don't forget, you send us the information from your soul, but you close the microphone. We cannot send in one strength, but through the other strength, as you are connected with us, we connect back with you. So when we give you these kind of graphs and these kind of tests, and we do this and that, is a lot of scientific check behind it and connecting and correcting checks. The interesting thing is, in the coming time, it'll be, if you're in a system and your graph goes like this, and then the next day, this is talking to mom, and the next time we put you in the system and your graph goes like this, talking to your lover, then we know this is the sign of your emotion to your mother and the sign of emotion to your lover. Physicality lies at this point, and truth shows to the love of the mother at this point. So, you know, now they put you on the truth machine. If you're telling a lie or not, very soon these machines will come that when they take you to your own judgment, you see where I did what I did. This is why I always say to knowledge seekers, I never lie, because I know where the graph sits. You hear what it is as it is. This is in a test which we do on the 20th. You will have the same thing. In a way, on the 20th, you are so involved in the what taste you make and what fruit you do, but you will see in the junior test, then we can make a graph. We see this is for banana. We see this is for orange juice. And then we, in the collection of the data, when we tell you we put in the orange juice, this will be included in that wavelength, and that only introduce another wavelength of the field strength. And dining with the Creator on Sunday, the 20th of February, it will be one of the most interesting parts, because this will teach you how to feel yourself. If you understand it, then you do not need to kill in the space. When you sit with the Creator, thou shalt not kill. So you learn his ways. And this is part of the work which you've been involved in past 2 and 3. Join us on the 20th of February. And maybe it'll be the last time you eat. Nobody knows. If you learn the whole understanding of it, you'll find a path to it. Any other question?
Okay, well, we have a series of questions here from the Brazilian community, especially. Started off with Alexandra, who asked, which soul was created first? The soul of the man, physicality, or the soul of the physicality?
It was first the soul of the earth. The soul of the man came from interaction of the fields of the, what we call, God's matter states. In a specific talk, I have explained step by step how life was created on this planet. It's in one of the lectures I gave, can't remember where. But I explained the process of creation of life on this planet. How the soul of God's matter state led to the creation of the soul of the collective, and then interaction-wise became a collected soul of collector, which means became what we call the soul of the man. Now with a new teaching and the process which is now even available, we can do it, is we create dimension of the perfect souls of the universe in the embodiment of a woman to create our perfect child. The child of Mitra is created now, and she's amongst us. And then that soul of creation decides in the womb of the mother, the dimension of the soul of physicality that it will be happy with to exist in the dimensions of the Creator. Not the genetic inheritance of the blue eye of the mother and the color of hair of the grandfather. It's a very big difference. When a child is born, I want to have a brown eye. Why was I born with blue eyes? Why do I have a curly hair of the grandpa when I want it straight? Now when the child is born, because it's through the essence of the soul, has the perfect image that he chose for himself in the dimension of existence of man. No mental disorders. And no wanting something which I cannot. But knowing has the power to have that blue eyes if it decides to. The new cycle of life, not only on this planet, is done through the soul, not through the dimension of interaction of physical life. Fields create the matter state, the matter state creating the field. Even though both exist, depends which way you want to go. In the coming time, if you remember, we are looking for two partners who want a child. A couple, two ladies, two gentlemen, whatever. Two people who love to be each other, but they don't want any physical interaction to have a child from each other, because one of them wants to have. We create that soul, and we allow the soul to interact. And then it chooses the dimension of its physicality. You saw the soul of the man, how it moved. We showed you with the passenger. Now it will be the same. Both is existence, but one is decided by the random chances of the physical, you call it RNA and DNA, or one is done by the dimension of the soul, RNA and DNA of the universe. Because this child will travel the span of the universe. It doesn't only consider how it looks on this planet to the satisfaction of its existence, but how does it look, which is perfection to the others in the other part of the universe. Game has changed. When you see the child of Mitra, you adore the creation. Doesn't matter where in the universe you are. When we see a child, we look at the dimension of physicality. And that's what is there, and that's what's to come. Any other question?
I think you've answered Alexandra's second question, which was how are the seeds of the soul of the man are planted in the universe. I think you sort of covered that, but maybe you could explain a little more.
It depends on the strength where he chooses to be. A lot of things, you have to be scientific. We don't create theology. And scientifically, whenever you don't understand in macro, you go to micro. When you don't understand in macro, you go to macro. But always when you do test with these things with magnet, understand a solid magnet, when you use a ring magnet, a circle, is a state of the matter. Whatever reaction you see. When you want to work with a dimension of the, what we call like a soul, which has no dimension of physicality, use a ring magnet. To you, when you put two solid magnets of the same size as the ring magnets, observe the position, observe the behavior is different. You're so involved with magnets that you have not understood the soul they create inside the ring. And so is the man, in the dimension of physicality, in the dimension of the soul. Then you can replicate. You can understand the essence of it. If you remember, I always said, everything I made, I use huge amount of ring magnets. And for example, when we used to make the cups, the cup of life you now make, I made the cup of life 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But that time I could not explain about nanotechnology and gas. When the cursed nation of Belgium, these hooligans opened the containers after breeding and they just saw magnet, they never understood. They call it a fake. Now you drink a cup, you walk away with Corona. I use solid magnets, square magnets, ring magnets with a pipe going through it, that it changes the characteristics of the dimension of the soul of the man. If these ignorant people of Belgium could understand the technology in these cups is the technology of the creation, they would have been ashamed of their own existence. What they've done with the foundation. First this nation and its blood. How backwards, how much they delayed the development of the man. Bunch of pedophiles and rapists. From the king down to the soldiers and the police. Some of you who are listeners here, you still have my cups, made in my own hand. Those cups you carry is the essence of the creation, life of a man. And in it, you see what now you see as ganses. How you play with the fields of the universe. Many of you, especially in Holland, have these cups still with you somewhere. Treasure them. They carry the fingerprint of my soul. Every single one has been made, handmade. And that's why you found salvation in them. You feel how, you see, if you open it, the bends, the twist, the position of magnets, how I pressurize the soul to release is what we call cosmic phase. How when you breathe in the system, your breath gives from dimension of physicality and it takes dimension of the field of the soul. I never touch the physicality. With all the fields, I always play it where you hold the cup, how far you hold the cup, what interaction makes with your soul. The water you create when it passes your nose, the smell when you're drinking it, how it touches, enlightens your soul, and then you see satisfaction in the dimension of physicality. I'm a magician. You looked at the cup, I looked at the fields of the cup near your body. Even the body pits I made for you. Understand the interaction of the fields. And then you understand how you still play with the field, but not with magnets, but with ganses. Not with ganses, with the fields they create. Then you understand the process of creation. It was a pleasure to be in Holland after some 10 years or so, in past 2 or 3 weeks ago, for a few days, and to sort out the affairs of the foundation and the stichting. And it brought back a lot of pleasure. And it brought back a lot of understanding, very started. And how I could go to Philips and tell them, your X-ray machines you built here has become space technology. Understanding the same radiation, but in the dimension of interaction of the universe. Now, you have to understand how the fields work, how do they interact? And what is an outcome? In the intro, we spoke about the soul of your children. How would they interact with the other souls of the universe, which lead to the creation of neural cycle of life? Now you understand what that intro means after years. Because you got the ganses, now we have the machines. We can create the dimension of the soul of a perfect existence. In the very near future, following sessions, monthly meeting with the Creator, we put all your male people on one and all the females in one. We separate you. And then we see what child of creation you make as a child of this planet. I will not announce this when it'll be done, but it'll be in one of the sessions when the time comes. Because now we have the knowledge. You ladies will come with the lines of the soul of the giver, and the man comes in the sign of the giver too, but both connected to the love of the Creator. And in the last teaching, in the last meeting on the 20th of January, we knew of the presence of the Mitra and the child of Mitra in the meeting. We recorded it. When they sit amongst us, then we are us. No, what I call theology. Keshe Foundation is a scientific organization. We recorded it. So, as you see, when in these sessions we mature, more and more understand, then we end up with where the next step for the whole of the universe is not only humanity. Any other question?
Yes, we have a hand up here from you. Go ahead.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, and could you say where you're from?
Hi, hi Rick, hi Mr. Keshe. Thanks for having me. My name is Yu, and yeah, I'm originally from Taiwan, and I'm currently stationed in the UK.
The two brothers who came.
Yes. Yeah, I normally sits in the background to ask questions, but this time's a bit different because I wasn't sure how I can phrase my question in under 200 characters. So yeah, so I guess.
Are you the younger brother or the older brother?
The younger one.
The younger one, okay.
Yeah, so the first one is more, not so much of a question, but of a statement. And I want to know if my line of thinking is, on the right path and if my understanding is correct. So I attended the 20th session, and since then I've been trying to look back retrospectively to see what I can learn from it. And is it correct to sort of logical to say that the session in a way was a learning lesson for us to show the importance of the soul and the soul of physicality when it comes to traveling? So if my soul and soul of physicality is in unison, and if the soul was in touch of the Creator, which will then I'll be able to have the ability to access the creation. I would, if there's a need due to the environment, because my soul of physicality is in touch with the soul, I will be able to access whatever I need, and then that in return will be able to feed and nourish the physicality. And so in that way, I will survive in every dimension, and yeah, to be able to survive in every dimension. And I guess another way to look at it is if by not abandoning the soul of physicality, I would, I guess, in a way, provides another way to enjoy the creation. If you know, not just traveling with the soul, but also the soul of physicality, which is part of the soul.
Let me explain something to the knowledge seekers about my impression when I met you and your brother. And I think you know when I spoke about it after I met you. These two brothers are amazing. Very gentle, very humble, even though they're all educated and they're in masters and PhDs or whatever universities in England. The knowledge and the position has brought them the humbleness. And when I met the two brothers, the behavior and the life, in a short time I met them, brought back a lot of memories. It's amazing how you feel the system changed when they came into the room. The behavior, the environment of the two systems, as two brothers, more or less like very much unisons changed in the system. And it's a pleasure to see this kind of what I call souls. In the interaction in the system, in the testing of the 20th, the essence was for you to get to know your soul and how to be able to communicate, how to be able to exchange. Exchange and communication comes, you are my soul of physicality, you are looking after me as a soul inside. Now I want to look after you, with you inside. We see it in the graphs which was just shown, one of the graphs, where the soul of physicality and the soul of the man exchange. They become equal and one hands over to the other. And this is done by man, remote, outside the whole, even the continent of Europe. And the whole of the 20th exercise was that, for you to start learning how, with trust, with understanding that you can be in charge or I can be in charge. We are there both loving each other to protect each other, like the way you two brothers came in. And this is the work of the 20th session. And in a way, we heard from many people the experiences they had on the 20th. How they felt, how they interacted with the soul of the prophets. It was easy for us, and there was a reason that we chose the three prophets. Because I could not tell you to get in touch or meet with the soul of the mother of another guy in China or the father of the guy in Canada. But The whole process of the 20th was how you can come in interaction with your own solar physicality, you call your spirit, and then in trust let you go to be looking after it. It's just, I'm not trusting you. What can you do in the time? People will see you and they don't believe me, you know, that you can come out like a schizophrenic. But we entrusted you with interaction of your soul with the soul of physicality to extend. And then we entrusted all of you to one point of reference, which all know, which was Moses or Christ or Muhammad. And this was the whole purpose of the teaching or the process of last session on the 20th. To understand the expansion. And then it was always, oh, I expanded, but now you're out, go and see someone that you can interact with, that you can confirm you're gone. And many of you did that. Many of you felt Christ or Muhammad, but you didn't feel the other one. And I was talking to one of the knowledge seekers yesterday. He makes me laugh. I love the guy so much. He said, what's wrong with me? I cannot go anywhere, but my brother has been everywhere in the 20th session. I went through the system. He came to Linz, but he can't go anywhere. I explained to him that you are too attached, you're too physical. Your spirit is holding tight control over the soul. He's the only guy we let loose in Linz for 2-3 days. He went in as many sessions as he liked. He went in the session till I think 10, 11 o'clock with another knowledge seeker in the center. But he said, I cannot get my soul out. But he doesn't understand his soul is already out. Why do you want to be out with it when you're trying to force it in? And this was the whole purpose of the 20th. To show you can trust it. And he came back and we finished the session. Has any of you lost your soul? Or have you become better men? We had a session yesterday. It was funny, but I read it to you. We're going through a test without the knowledge seeker who's going through it. And because we communicate in the background with, with our team. And it was a very funny situation because even the knowledge seeker who is going through the trial does not understand it, but we know what we are doing in the background. It's at about 17:12 yesterday because we see everything, and I said, we lost him. And we literally lost the soul. And I said, he's not answering because we're in touch with his soul for something like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And then I said, oh, he's back because I can see him. And it's a communication in yesterday afternoon in a transmutation. You always go back. He cannot be lost. And I'm in Linz. Our team is in the laboratory, and our transmutation guy is, but we can't tell him that we lost him. Because if he panics, he won't do it next time. In 2 minutes, well, actually 60 seconds or so, we lost contact with the soul. And it's in writing. It's like, he says, we have a problem. We don't have a problem because we're assured this soul of physicality is back in its position. It'll come back into it. And we see it. He doesn't see what we see. Where is deviation? And the communication is very simple. And it is very, very interesting if you look at the communication we do and we watch and we monitor. And we see, we know exactly where we lost. And this is what sits with us. And what to you is a word, but to us is part of the work. And we literally, I try to share with you that you understand what goes on. This is, you know, an extract in a communication of yesterday. 1712, silent. We lost him. He's not answering, and then we see him back. This is a real trial. This is real travel of the soul, extending beyond. But he, on the other side, is not aware of what we see because we can't tell him. But we see it on the graph. You see the double tick on top, that ditch on top, that's what it is. So when we speak about these things, it's what is in technology, in the physical dimension. Rick, can you change the screen, please? So the 20th was for you knowledge seekers to have a trust, all of you to meet with one or two or three, and then come back. You can never be lost in the space. I explained this before. If you understood the position, it's very simple. Nowadays, they give you a cable to go out of the space lab. Now they give you a space suit to go out if you walk on the moon. With all the oxygen and everything you need the time you're there. Now, if you understand what went on the 20th, even if you go with the dimension of the physicality, get on the UFO and you go on the surface of the moon, you cannot land on it, go on the surface of the water, planet, whatever, you cannot land on it. No, you don't want to land on it. What do? Do you go beam Miskati? Or now that you learned the process of the transmutation, the extension of your soul to the soul of physicality, then you interact with the soul and the soul of the dimension of physicality called inertia of the planet. You decide how you'll manifest yourself. You'll be a stone but rolling on the surface of the moon. But you still have life, you decide. Or you'll be appeared in 20 legs and 5 God knows lungs because you need more energy. Or would you make your surface of a skin so shiny that absorbs all the dimensions from the what we call environment, but you decide to be in the shape of the man. 2 legs, 2 arms. This is how I want to manifest myself, but I don't need the lungs inside because my skin absorbs. I'm in the shower. Knowledge seekers have to learn this a lot, and the 20th was that purpose. On the 19th of February, we show you which string of that shower you want to connect with. One of the holes in the head of that shower is a carrot taste, and the other hole on the other side is the love of the Creator. Which one you are more hungry for? How do you want to feed your soul? With a carrot or the love of the Creator? And these experience and these sessions are that process. It's a training session. And you went through it on the 20th to see, can I expand my soul to meet my physicality, the solar physicality? Would I feel it? Would I emotionally understand it? And then go to the next step, extend it. But this time I'm only going because we came together to camp. We all came to enjoy the same trip. We're on the same bus. We've gone to the same tour. We're seeing Moses. Oh, we see Jesus. We see the soul of Muhammad. That was a purpose. Out to see. But all the time you came back to the soul. You always have that connection with physicality. Any other question?
I've got a question, if that's okay.
Yeah. In this place, we always allow 2 questions. Jalal has started it.
Very kind of you. Yeah. So my second question is about the future of human race. So if our universe, I think of it as a giant plasma, would our universe then change position with respect to other universes as a result of this technology? So, within the big giant plasma, if all the souls through this technology sort of got close, through teaching of the soul, got closer to the Creator, would the strengthening of the field of that plasma affect the positions of the overall unicos? And if so, how would that entail? Yeah.
In a way, not really, but in a way, yes. If you are connected and understand the soul of the creation and the created, sometimes the macro can affect the micro, and sometimes micro has that pull to affect the macro. We can, it'll come in the future teaching when more and more knowledgeable our knowledge seekers become. On the 19th, or on the 20th of January, you went to the extent of extending to be in touch with the soul of the Prophet. And through giving to the soul of the soul of theirs, to the soul of physicality or spirit, to change that course. And it's very interesting if you observe what I have observed in past 14 days. It's amazing. A lot of you are not aware of what's going on in the background with it. And I said, it worked. Knowledge seekers 20th job did their job, but we have to see what's the next one. And I'll explain this to you very soon. If you manage to extend to the soul of the Prophet, which is within the structure of this planet, why and you think you can limit the expansion of your soul to embrace your physicality, or share with the dimension of the soul of the Prophet to enlighten his spirit, because it's the way he contacts, interacts with others who follow him. What stops you to expand this beyond that? That you encapsulate the soul of the totality to elevate. What stops you to extends beyond the solar system, beyond the galaxy, and beyond the universe. What experiences will you have? And is the elasticity of your soul in a dimension of field strength strong enough to embrace the universe? Or when it passes the universe, it creates a new dimension and position, or our universe, as you say, to find a new dimension and position in its own universe. Because now you introduce a new strength, so it has to be a new position. The outer field dictates the position, not the inner field. Inner fields create their own inertia. So does the soul of one man, one entity, can change the course of the universe in the universe? If you have enough in it, yes.
So in a way, the effects from within is illimited. Is it because upon the creation?
No limitation. There is no limitation. The limitation is only in the brain of the man. That's all. Limitation of your own understanding of your own creation. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you two brothers, and you brought a lot of good memories. I used to be the same with my brother. And it was nice to see as one in your politeness and your, what I call, humbleness. It's amazing. It was nice to meet you two brothers.
Yeah, thank you. It was my pleasure to meeting you and the members of the Keshe Foundation.
Thank you very much. Something which might have passed you, you listened as a news, but I looked at it a different way. And it was very interesting when you look at it in a different way. We had a meeting on the 20th with all of you knowledge seekers, elevating the soul up there. Those who you believe in the path of. And always said, give it 14 days. And as I always told you, what we see in Ukraine is a position of the inside Catholic Church or the Church of Russia, fighting with each other, who's stronger. We saw now the extension of and how it's changed of, and we have to sit and watch the reaction of what happened last Saturday, Sunday morning. We were warned of the catastrophic interaction if the state of Israel attacks Iran. And the Israelis tested it last Saturday. By remote drones, they attacked a military base in Europe and some other places. The Israelis, out of their stupidity, thought they pull Iran into a war and then they get what they want. 7 days passed, we see silence. Doesn't mean nothing. But this is again the war of religions. But what you put in on the 20th brought a new dimension. In a way, what the Israelis wish that they pull Iran into a massive war, up to now has kept the silence. A bluff which did not work. Otherwise, today we'd have had different stories. And now you see the effect of the elevation of what you did on the 20th. I promise you, if that session would not have taken place, we would have seen a massive war in the Middle East today. After the massive attack by the Israelis, they tested it. We were aware, we were waiting for such a test. It wasn't something unknown. But in a way, it showed the weakness in the structure of the defense of Israel. We will see, for sure, a counterattack in a very short time, but conclusive enough to bring the two states of Iran, the Islamic world and the Jewish world, facing to each other for peace. As the new defense minister of Israel said, we had to do the first attack, but that was the most stupid thing you did, sir. You should have sent the messages of peace. But as was the wish of your prophet, it had to be done this way. I'm meeting with the Iranian officials tomorrow. And my message to the Iranian government is, take the path of wisdom and go by our way. And become the tool of peace. But with the strength of knowing that we talk not because you bombed us out of nowhere, but we can bomb you to smithereens to nowhere. It's a position of the religion's war, because it's coming to an end. We've seen the new administration in Tel Aviv with the most disgruntled man as the Prime Minister. He doesn't like to speak to Keshe Foundation and Mr. Keshe because he knows that he's chosen the path to the end of his structure. And that end has to come through his prophet, not through his subjects. And what you did on the 20th, you actually stopped a cycle which we will not see. And as we see, I hope that knowing, understanding what sits within the structure of the military power of Iran, a mayhem in Palestine. What we saw was waiting to provoke to show. And that provocation has come. But the show is different show. My soul goes to the Iranian leaders to elevate them to choose a different path than what they're planning. But we'll see the conflict of two religions, as I told you. It will not be any more matter condition of Vietnam ideologies, but it will be matter the end of the religions. Christians killing each other in Ukraine, Jews and the Muslims in Middle East. For what reason? But if you would have not done what you did on the 20th, the story would have been different today, 7 days later. The war of religions has started, but this time will come to an end. because you, as souls of the knowledge seekers, have brought a different condition. And we'll see. We'll be here for weeks and we'll watch what this scenario will bring and how will end, how will bring to a point. As a knowledge seekers, as a Keshe Foundation, we have put both hands out to the state of Israel and Iran to protect, and we have offered full security to Iranian government on a direct call with the government. In case of any nuclear accident in Iran, Keshe Foundation has got all the facilities to deliver to Iran, unconditionally. The same as we did with Ukraine to IAEA. My communication with the Iranian leadership through the officials, they know every tool is available if attack takes on any of the Iranian nuclear site. The same is available to the state of Israel. Citizens of the nation should not pay for the stupidity of their leaders. Any other question?
Okay, we have another knowledge seeker with a hand up here. Azar, please go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Are you on the way to Mexico or are you still in Mexico?
No, I'm in New York still. It's 5:40 in the morning. I leave later. Mr. Keshe, you kind
God
of...
help the Mexicans, huh?
What happened?
I said, God help the Mexicans. Azar is going there.
Mr. Keshe, you kind of touch on what I was going to ask when you talk about Iran and Israel. My question is, when we go do these sessions that we did on 16th and 20th, is it changing our soul relationship to our physical soul? Our relationship in totality, both physical soul and soul, to the environment, to people around us, to the cosmos, to everything. Like, I feel like, you know, if you go to, you know, like when you go to a Persian house, you see the curtain, they have like 3 layers of curtain, the thicker one, the little lighter and the lighter. I feel like you're standing in a room like that and suddenly you remove the big thick curtain, then remove the next one, big next one, and then you see so much clarity. At the same time, you become more, you have no desire. Like, you know, when the sun comes out in the morning and shines, and then at night it goes in, you just become like that. You just get up in the morning and then you go through life. And the funny thing is, you have no desire. But for example, if you say, oh, I want to have an apple, suddenly an apple shows up. I mean, suddenly, I give you an example. If I'm sitting in my office and I said, like yesterday it happened a couple of times about different going places, people showing up with us, thinking about the person that you want to talk to. Suddenly the person calls, and then I'm looking at it, is this stuff happening coincidences, or suddenly as if things that the desire shows up? Yesterday in my office, I look at the schedule and I see the hygiene side is completely booked except 5 o'clock. And I said, oh, we just need 1 patient for 5 o'clock, then we're complete. Then 5 minutes later, as I was saying it, somebody calls and I say, okay, the funder says, oh, we have an opening for 5, would you like to take it? And then it's booked. Then I'm looking at it and said, what's going on here? Or for example, if I go to a place that I want to have like 3 afternoon, I haven't eaten lunch, and I say, oh, I wish they have my favorite food. They have usually, they finish soon. When I go there, there's only 1 left. And then I was thinking, what's going on here? Like, you ask for something and it shows up. And it's for me fascinating, like relationship with people changes. people respond in a way that as if they accommodate you for what you want to do, is something, so much clarity is happening. So is this supposed to happen? The whole relationship changes?
In a way, it's the sort of understanding. You know what it means. It means your soul creates that interaction, which brings that position or action. And if your, what I call position is real, then and it's good for what you need for your soul or sort of physicality will take shape. And it is important that we understand this. And this is what you call, you wanted a fish and you call it the last fish. What about if you wanted something else? Was one guy there before who wanted a fish, but the soul said, no, somebody else has booked it through the soul, leave it behind? And then you call it a coincidence?
But Mr. Keshe, what's the system when we go through the session? What's the system interaction with us that create that kind of a interaction that changes?
No, we create the environment for you to test yourself. The whole purpose of these sessions is for you to learn what you've forgotten, to relearn. The purpose of these sessions is like, you know, you've been walking everywhere and doing everything, and then you have an accident, and then you go not using, let's say, your leg, your arm, or whatever, or you go through a coma, and then when you come back or you get the possibility of functionality, they say you try really to retrain yourself to walk. You have to teach yourself to walk again. It's our process. Man, through the soul, knows. He does it every night, every day. When you're asleep, you call it a dream. Now you're going through reprocessing of the teaching your sort of physicality, that I'm retraining you. I go out for a walk, but I come back home. I'm home all the time. You need me, you shout, I'm back. And we saw it in those graphs.
Mr. Keshe, also is a feeling of, like, for example, everything has a soul, but then you kind of feel them more. Like for example, even when I look at like a door, last night I was stuck behind my apartment door. I forgot my key, but then suddenly the door as if invited me to go past through it, and it was as if just like there's a communication going on, but then, and it was just like as if the door, something is opening up and you can go through it, but I was hesitant. And I was pausing a little bit and I said, is a communication going on? But because then
let me explain to you something. Is your fear of physicality. That's why I said to the knowledge seekers, is your fear of physicality. You've been through the sessions. Next time, if you get stuck behind the door, see if you can extend your soul, which is the energy, and if that energy can take you on the other side of the door, come out back to dimension of physicality.
But Mr. Keshe, I don't
That-
have the fear.
It's a subconscious fear.
But how can I know to where it is to get rid of it?
It's not getting rid of it. It's training that I can do. It's like that little boy put a stone on a brick and tried to break it. The first few times, crushes the finger and the hand and cries from the pain, but he carries on till he knows. And one day, as a judo master, with one hand, he cracks that brick. The brick is the fear of man.
Mr. Keshe, also, like, for example, if you have a cup, say you drink water from it every day, or a cup you drink coffee or tea, like suddenly it becomes alive, like it's your best friend. I mean, you never knew it is your friend, and it's just like you. And then you can talk to it and communicate with it, but then it's just, everything becomes like, everything just like is alive, but we'll never pay attention to it. Like, even if you have a painting, if anything around you is fascinating, suddenly everything, I always look at a cartoon, they made animation of objects, but suddenly there's no longer animation, it's actually real.
It's trusting in oneself, which is the biggest problem. And that was the purpose of the whole situation in the last 2 months, and in the coming months and weeks of the training and teaching. And many of you who attend these monthly sessions now will become the teachers of the future for the next cycle of knowledge seekers and humanity. And don't forget, in the past 2 sessions and in the session to come, you come from every background, nationality, religion, and the rest. This was the purpose of these things. Because if I come as an Iranian and try to teach you something, you ask why? Why is it here? Every time we take the knowledge, as was the same when we went to Belgium, why Belgium? Why here? Oh, there must be something in it. But if you, as an Iranian, tell the Iranians you are Iranian, there is no how, it's not foreigners bringing it in. And that was the whole purpose of the teachings on these processes which we have taken. Without you knowing, we have made you the ambassadors of your own culture and nation. Because then there is no mistrust in color, race, and religion. And gradually, you as knowledge seekers will start delivering these things.
Mr. Keshe, another question I have regarding the microphone. When you go to the session, you said have the microphone on the right side, not the left side. But what's the purpose of it, and how do you manage that? Because I couldn't do it. But
have you bought these headphones? Some of the headphones you buy, inside it is written L and R, right and left ear.
Yes.
So when we tell you your microphone, and look, where is the microphone connected? It's usually to the right side. Our system is set on the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere of the brain of the man. You have to follow the instruction, because otherwise we give instruction, you become schizophrenic. We tell you to put it on the right emotion, because let's say the feeling of hunger comes on the left hemisphere in such a point. And you put your headphone back to front. Now it goes to the right side of the hemisphere. Sorry, this is a place where I make love with. You
okay,
understand?
so you weren't talking about the microphone on the phone. You were talking about the headset, because I did
the headset has a microphone, and we are very.
Oh, I see. Because I made my phone upside down, so
very correct with this.
So, Mr. Keshe, I made my phone upside down, so the microphone on the phone itself is on the right side. I put it the other.
This is a there's a reason for it, because our system is set that way. We, some of knowledge seekers have even tested it. We can decide if we interact with your left or right. Knowingly, unknowingly, if you go back in the picture of the room, we have 3 seats on the left, 3 seats on the right. We have a unit on the left, we have a unit on the right. We have a left hemisphere and right hemisphere in our system. It's not coincidental. When you come in, now you saw it on the graph. The physicality, the soul of physicality and the soul of the man. Yeah? When we started these tests, from the beginning, when you came in tens and hundreds, you sat in the soul of physicality, and the soul of the man chair. Nothing has changed. If you understand the principle of the work of the brain, you call it twinity in the world of science. We say every star has a counter star for its balance. So is the brain of the man. And the difference in the energy between the two of them creates the current for the existence of the brain. Brain doesn't bring its energy from somewhere else in interacting with itself. It absorbs energy from the environment. No blood cells goes through it. It absorbs energy from the blood cells which go through it, but not in it. And the difference between the two creates the working of it. Yin and yin. One side is yang, one side is yin. And collectively together they make that brain. And in that interaction they create the current and they create emotions. And so it's important when we tell you to put it on the right, to be on the right, because we are sending information for you to love each other. You back to front, you're putting the information on the other side where it says hate each other. I came in, but I felt so drained. I came in, it was so, and the other one who's like, oh, it was the first fantastic session because we all received the same. The left and right, we emphasize on, has a reason. And that the reason is your own brain. You created that way. We're just falling for you to receive the right information.
Also, Mr. Keshe, when Jesus said, when you tell the mountain to move and it moves, now we can understand it because because the soul has that power because it's God Himself. So when you command, and actually it's instantaneous.
He said, make a mountain move, yeah? The mountain wasn't the mountain you think about. The mountain was the ignorance of man, which has created that mountain for himself to understand the creation and the creator. It's still physical.
Yeah, but Mr. Keshe, when I'm talking about the command, when I talk about the command means because when you're born here, whatever you want is available to you, but the only thing is you want things that is not, how can I say it? It's not really important. Like whatever you want is here. Just ask for it.
It's desire.
Yeah, but you know, the desire most people have, for example, I can sit here like people sit here in their home. And for example, I was talking to this guy, he's an Uber driver and he's from Tajikistan. And I was actually, my mind was blowing up from pain because the way he was talking, he said he's suffering. He's 25 years old. And I said, why are you suffering? He says, my parents are suffering. I said, why your parents are suffering? He says, I called my mom and she says, the neighbor, they had, for example, bought a, say, chair or something. So neighbor has this, now we don't have it. So she's upset and she's suffering. And I was thinking, why people are suffering for things, it doesn't matter, because do you have to have a chair your neighbor has? I mean, if they're the thing that you're wishing for, you're suffering for, so this is really a miserable life. Because this is not a desire of a person who wants to live on this planet. The planet, everything is given to us. I mean, look at the planet. It's just people suffer for things really doesn't matter because the neighbor has a car, I have to have a car, or neighbor has this, I have to have that, or my family has this.
Okay, so I'll put it this way, that way. Now we hear from the knowledge seekers who were there in the 16th and the 20th session that how come the others manage to see the light, or they say they've seen the essence of the soul of the Christ or Muhammad or whatever, and I can't do it. What's wrong? Why can't I have it? We still have the same situation, doesn't matter. You change it to a chair or to something else.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
I'm just reading something which I don't know if I can share it or not, but it just sent to me by the doctor who is in charge of the two brothers, and it's touching. And it shows knowledge of the creation surpasses any physical dimension. Doesn't matter if you have a chair or you haven't managed to see the Moses soul or whatever. And it's interesting to see one craves for a chair and one craves and enjoys the extension of the motion, the movement of a small thing for a child you love so much. And what do we value in life? The mother has written what I explained to you with the permission from the doctors who are monitoring it. This is a message in writing from the mother. It says, I cannot even put into words what all this is doing to me. I thought I knew how energy feels. And now I am confronted with goosebumps deluxe every day, because it all feels like a big miracle and a huge gift from God. This is what makes me think one is happy to have a child back to normality, and one is still worried about the chair of the next door neighbor. What a hypocrisy in the life of man. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. You see here, some of these have been answered. Let's go to question in the Q&A here from Cristiano from the Brazilian community. Goes, trying to learn about the interaction of souls, I've noticed that we always collect some essence from others, and usually the soul collects something it needs in that placement to develop something. Some souls share love, and this creates a connection between them due to the humility of understanding the happiness of just being there next to each other. Other souls collect it and use it for control, to hold power for themselves or for a certain group, and to feel the force of being greater, usually in the physicality or the emotion of others. When this happens, is it a soul's lack of understanding of physicality, or is it just a conscious stealing habit of that soul?
A combination of both. As we say, ignorance is a bliss. When you're ignorant, you're not aware of it, you're still blessed because you do it your way, but even if it's the wrong way, you end up in the ditch. Or when you know it, you try to avoid the ditch, you fall in a bigger ditch because you thought you missed the big ditch, which the big one behind it. It's how we decide and how we go and how we change it. As I said, this year is the year when a man meets the universal community. But in reality, if you understand it, in a very small way, at the beginning, we bring the universe to man to see what is missing behind. In a way, we bring you a taster and see what you decide, what you test. And it's a combination of the two, but depends on your knowledge, understanding of the condition and the position. Nothing else. And it's up on every individual and their own understanding. Any other question? We needed 3 o'clock. 3 hours into the session. For those of you who are around the foundation, and we try to deliver all these new systems into the March session, before March session, that you will find out the sessions will be very, very different in what I call one planet, one nation, one race, that you will feel different way of connecting. We allow you to connect first with your mobile phones, the way you are used to. And those who bought the combination unit, we switch to you, where we only will communicate through the new technologies. And with that, we create that expansion, those understanding. We, as I said, our team will try to deliver as many as possible in the second quarter. And then you will see the monthly sessions will be a totally different meaning, and it'll be right across all of you across the planet. As I said to the Keshe Foundation, it comes as a best of first order, first served, that we built up the structure. And you will see, you will understand a different way of life. In a way, you will feel, you will understand what it means to realm of the creation and the creator. Because you don't hear through your ears, but you feel it through your emotion. It'll be very interesting to see how when we separate two sides of physicality and what we call plasmatic life, how you will react and how much you'll be enlightened, how much knowledge you gain in one, and after sessions, how much of it would you bring back in the dimension of physicality. As I said, very knowledge seeker asked, please do not switch or give your head units to anybody else. I'm very specific. The reasons we'll explain in the future. It's like when we told you, don't share your paint pen. Do not share your head units with no one else. Don't allow it to be used. Not even for you want to put on your head. It's important to understand this. The combination of the knowledge on both dimensions of physicality and universe gradually will become part of your life. Maybe Azar then understands how to go through that door without actually opening the door. Maybe you understand how you go through a planet without actually touching the planet. Maybe you understand how to tell the girl you love how much you love her by the essence of the soul and not by the word of the mouth. And then you see the reaction. And then we'll see how we change the position. And as I said to a knowledge seeker, if you don't see and you have not bought it from the Keshe Foundation, what we developed and anybody else offers you is fake. Because we've seen a lot of people trying, especially we've seen in Romania, they come up now, nobody was anywhere. Now they got this disc of the cosmic rays and reaches around a lot of what are called BSs go running around, especially in Romania. But people believe in it, so they go with it. Unless it comes a new edition. And nobody can match to what it is. Doesn't matter if they open it and they do not know what else we have hidden in there. It's like when you buy a fake medicine. And believe it, second hand will be no good because they already carried somebody else's souls in it. So we try to bring you in the direction and dimension to understand. And you got to realize the process has and will carry on, will not stop. And the process has to be continuous on a peace process. Whatever you learn has to be used to bring peace. And those who done wrong to you or wrong to create condition will come to themselves. And when you get these units, learn one thing, always ask. Always ask through the soul, always ask. Because if you are given by asking, you have not stolen, because you are given. If you take without asking, you have stolen. Even if you want to make love to your partner, ask, can I make love to you? Because I don't make love to you physically. I give you, make it available for you to take what you want from me, which is love of me. Then you see the position changes. Can I love you? Because if it's yes, it'll be received. And the other one, which is ignorance, says, why do you need to ask me to love me? Because I respect you. because you'll be at the strength of receiving my love. Otherwise, I'm watering the pavement and the doors and not watering the flower I love to flourish. Always ask. Now we go through the system. Thou shalt not steal, because when you ask and you're given, you have not stolen.
Mr. Keshe, can I say something?
You always say something.
Okay, you see, imagine you're not a good cook. You don't know how to cook. You go to a restaurant, and then you go to the kitchen and take the chef and tie it to the chair and put a tape on his mouth or her mouth, and you start working in the kitchen trying to make yourself a meal.
You watch too many American movies, also.
No, this just came to my mind. So this is the way I look at it, because this is what I feel was happening to me. So what you do, you try to cook everything by yourself, but you cannot, you're not a cook. You mess it up constantly and you say, why I cannot eat? Why is this? Why is that? But then if you just untie the chef and let him talk and you just sit at the table, the chef is going to make you a meal. That's what happens with the physical soul and the soul, because the soul is the chef and the physical soul is that person wants to eat, because you don't allow the soul brings you what you want, because you just want to do things yourself that you don't know how to do it and you mess it up. That's what it came to my mind.
You see, when you work in the dimension of soul, you cannot mess it up. Impossibility. Even if you think it's messed up, that's the reason that it's built perfect when you eat it. It's a very strange thing when you talk about a kitchen. If any of you have been through the culture and the state of Austria, you will notice it when you go to a restaurant. I've eaten around the world, maybe traveled 80, 90 countries around the world in my lifetime, in this cycle. And I have never known a nation which saturate their plates, doesn't matter, from the soup to the chicken or whatever, with salt. And in some restaurants, it's so strong that you refuse to eat. But to the Austrian, it's normal. I've never known a place like Austria in consumption of salt. Usually they say nations by the sea use salt because of the ocean and the rest of it. But the landlocked nation using so much salt. But the beauty of it is, it's not to my taste, but I look at the table next to me, Austrians eating, and they're snuggling their mouth, the most delicious food they ever eat. Do I go and change the chef in the kitchen? Or do I come to understand there's another culture? And respect it. Even if you go to the Chinese, they have got the same deal, because if they don't put enough salt, the Austrians won't go to it. When you go outside Austria and you eat outside, you say, oh my God, now I understand. And it was a pleasure. We had, when I told you recently, we went with our team in understanding the process of the exchange of the soul. What do we understand? Is it to match us, or is part of it we are missing in the knowledge, in the strength? We don't need to tie up the shaft. We have to understand what that restaurant was built for. It's, if you lived in England in the past years ago, when the Chinese came to become well known and popular, they still used to go out with the English people who come to the Chinese restaurant and ask for fish and chips. Excuse me. This Chinese. But the good thing is the Chinese have learned. They get English people who only want fish and chips when they go to a Chinese firm, because the others have come to eat Chinese. They want to be with them. So it's you who has to understand. And it's only for you. Are there any questions?
Well, I think we're getting close to the end here, as you mentioned, but maybe you can answer a couple of questions that we have in the YouTube here. From Start, who says, hello, everyone. Question to Lord Keshe. Did Jesus Christ feed on physical food on earth? And if so, does this mean he killed other lives?
In the dimension of messengers of the Creator, they had to live amongst men and to look the same, otherwise that would have been a stranger. And they always followed the same. And does not mean that they kill to live, but they live to be part of, that they don't. Christ became outsider anyway most of his life. He did everything outside the framework. And one day I tell you stories about Christ that is not known by man, the things he did. And the same with Moses. That's how we brought the balance of the, what we call commandments. We've been amongst them, we've been with them, we've been part of them. And these are not hadiths. We can sometimes give you indication to go and check. There are markers left behind. The prophets, not to be out, they had to live amongst men to do the same. Many, many times this happens to all the messengers and teachers. As I said, you're a cook in a cooking school, teaching the students, but one of them makes a food that everybody goes sick. But the teacher knows if he criticizes bad, the guy will move out and won't have his student. So the teacher swallows the food which is cooked and it's unedible. It's always nice. And it's the same. Many times I say, why don't I stop? I know how. But if I do, then it becomes another magician. I've said many times, I'm ashamed to be in the body of the man. Not ashamed of it, the shame is that I have to eat what is killed. I have to consume what is wrong. Just to be amongst men and nothing else. So it's not they can't, but you can imagine what they would have done to Christ. He will become a hermit. Nobody would be with him. Buddha had worse condition, if you know the true story of Buddha. And the best of messengers was Zoroaster. He lived in the culture where everybody understood and lived the same culture. He lived the most perfect life. He brought the temples with a fire and he said, keep the fire going. And the man looked at the fire as a wood to burn, to keep the fire going, as it's still going on for thousands of years in temples, in what we call mabads. But in reality, his word was to keep the light of the Creator. Keep your soul in interaction with the light, with the soul of Creator, that the light from it will give you will keep you, what I call, alive. Shows you the path. And the man, again, in the dimension of physicality, chose to keep a fire going and worship it in the temples. He spoke about the fire of interaction of the soul of the man with the soul of Creator, and the man took it as a bending of a wood. We used to have a joke when I used to be in high school in Tehran, if it was Mehran, because it was the Russians. And sometimes we used to tease our colleagues because they had a fire in the Baba temple just on the side of the wall. And the students used to pull a joke because we could not speak about religions, but it was forbidden by the rules of the school. They used to match up a match, and they blow it. Says, "Oh, you got disappeared." And we used to laugh. It was a joke. And as Russians start understanding what it meant, at the beginning it was very offensive. And they used to do it themselves. They said, "You see, we are the light, you blow us. You left with the wood, but we still carry the energy." And it was a beautiful relationship with the Russians. And that's what is the essence of life. The prophets can take, they could, and they had the ability to take from the energy of the universe. But you can imagine what would have done to Moses and what would have done to Jesus. One would have become claiming to be the Creator himself and the rest of the murders he did. And one would have been the most beautiful womanizer ever known in the universe, with the light of the Creator would have shined like a star. Depends how they decided. Any other question?
How about this one from Mateo in YouTube? Can a man love more than one woman?
Muhammad said 4 full-time and 40 part-time. Christ never indicated. And Moses brought the other way around. You love as you like. It depends on what you call, you look at the dimension of physicality or you look at the dimension of the soul. We love many women. Woman as a wife, woman as a daughter, woman as a mother, and a woman as a sister. Which love is more important? And which love at what point gives you more pleasure? But women that sharing life is best to be one, because then you're locked, you give and take from the same. And yet,
well, there are more.
what do we ever call it a day?
Pardon me, it broke up there.
I said that's a couple of more, and we call it a day.
A couple more, okay. Mm-hmm.
We are a snowbound, so we can't go anywhere.
Okay. You sort of covered this part of this question before, but it's a question from Alexandra from the Brazilian community. How is it programmed for a soul to be born or manifest here on planet Earth? Who decides if we will be born, when, and in which family? Is there a department in the universe responsible for all this?
Oh my God. Nobody's responsible. Creation is a combination of the accidents, and some accidents set to be at given point time position. And there's no department, sorry. It's not a human job. We don't keep a registry. And the creation of life on this planet is so random. That's one of its beauty. Randomness. And how we love that randomness. It creates a very good bedrock of variation for the world of creation. In the future teachings, when knowledge seekers become more confident in what they see and they do things, I will teach you the emotion through the soul, not through the physicality. How you love the dimension of the soul. How you give in the dimension of the soul. There is no hate exists in the dimension of the soul. How you exist in the dimension of the soul, and then you compare it to the, what you call it, physical dimension of the matter. And then you understand more and more how much of it is man-made, how much of it is actually in the essence of creation. And it becomes very easy. And then you'll understand the question of the one before. There is one soul for one, even though we interact with the others, to be one of the same strength and same position. But with the diversity of the, what I call energy consumption of the man on this planet, you create a variety of emotions, which is man connected, not the creator connected. When you see the structure of this planet has many, many variations of different materials and the rest. When you look at the monocycle stars, you see one light. And that's the ultimate goal of the life. Any other question?
Perhaps one more from Saeed this time, who had a couple of different questions, but the basic question is, greetings, Mr. Keshe. Is Maghreb plasmatic energy to be utilized in the future for our energy requirements? Will electricity become obsolete in the future?
Electricity is obsolete. If your knowledge seekers understood the principle of the working of the magnet. You, even the enhancement, power enhancement units we have put out, which is going out in the coming days, is the same. You still, if you learn, it is a power source for thousands of kilometers from it. But the man is happy what comes up with a tiny cable. All our technology is based on the fields, and the fields have no limitation. It's the man of understanding which puts limitation. The new enhancement units you see are very strange things. But in fact, it's understanding of the process of creation. People who are running tests on them, you will hear it. We will go out very soon, in the next few days or a couple of weeks. We're not putting it out, but just let you know, because we have discussed this. Some of you bought Maghreb systems originally from the Keshe Foundation. And you said that it doesn't work. It came mainly only from Italy, based or from our factory in Arizona. The new enhancement unit, which will be released next few days, if you have the original maggraph system, which you say doesn't work, and you send it back to us, we deduct the amount you paid, you say it doesn't work, from the new enhancement units. But with the new enhancement units, we give, foundation gives a guarantee reduction between 30 and 60% plus. Unless you cheat, because we test every unit before it's dispatched. You'll find out what we put out, where we are involved with it, is exactly why it works. The reason most of your maggraph system didn't work in the original ones from Italy, we found out later on, you were partially could be correct, is that we employed a man which had no understanding of the technology. He made the coils and piled them up like a heap on top of each other, damaging everything. By the time we found out what happened, it was too late. But some of you got the results, because it depends whatever. But this time with anything we put out, we test before we do. And I've asked that for every single unit, it has to be tested. That's some people come back and there's no refund. We deduct that €500 you paid, and we give you a guarantee with a new system, because I sat on it. I know exactly what goes on. The new enhancement unit. But this time, don't look at the reduction in the power electric bill. In the future, we tell you how to use this for many, many options that you cannot even imagine. We give you additional units, which in conjunction with this will give you new dimensions in life. As I said, don't buy a copy because you say it doesn't work. How come Keshe Foundation? Because we put a technology very much hidden in our work. Even our workers who make it, they don't understand what it is. And we brought the prices from 5,000 to 3,000 to make sure that we push to the next step from these units to what we want to do. Anything we put out from now in the plasma technology has a reason and has a connection to the future usage. It's not just what you see as it is. And it's the same with the new, we put a package for head units and the power unit. And the beauty of it is, this time, whatever you take from Keshe Foundation, you subscribe to Keshe Foundation on a yearly basis. We gave you the systems you run and everything else. We give you a system, you stay in touch with us. And we keep developing on your understanding, and what is there is not a dead end anymore. You don't get the unit directly from the Keshe Foundation, throw it in the pit. If you receive from us, there is much more into the units and technologies we put in 2023 out. And as I said to a knowledge seeker, don't come back to me and say, I bought a system, somebody made a copy of it, and I'm doubling my electricity bill, my wife is ill more, and the rest of it. That's yours. That's what I told you from the beginning. When I get in it and it's done, we give what we say. Now we are in it. And we delivered it. We left it to a bunch of what I call others. We taught a lot of you fulfill the energy. Now we deliver the technology. But it's all connected. It's all connected. In the coming time, slowly in 2023, you see new products. You don't buy directly from the Keshe Foundation store. Do not touch it. Because this time, these are the systems which are set to interact with what is coming in the future. And don't forget, there was a reason we put out the policies for what was there, and you've seen it. For family, for individuals, and for the rest of it. These all get connected to all these systems which we are putting out. We set to change the course of the soul of the man, not the dimension of physicality. And it's the only way man knows. Thank you very much for today. And we will see you next week. In the next few days, maybe a week or two, we will announce the, what we call, blueprint to show you the head units and the, what we call compact units, which is connected to them. And then the plasma power units, which are now going through to meet the energy demands of the Europe especially. And then hopefully by the second quarter, now that we have produced plasma power energy, we will release the gas electric unit, because a lot of you cannot convert from one to another. There are no gases in your house, it's all electric, and so you're totally gas based. So we try to meet all demands from one unit. These units are in the working condition, and we, what do you call it, developing to its maximum capability. And then as usual, the nation of Iran will supply the hardware out of Iran. Thank you very much for today. And I hope we can share more knowledge next time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe, once again for another Knowledge Seekers workshop here, full of information and understanding. This has been the 470th of the Knowledge Seekers workshops here on Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. Thank you, everyone, for attending here today. And we look forward to the next public teaching workshop coming up on Tuesday, the 7th of February, which will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice. And that's with members of the Universal Council. And people are welcome to bring their questions to or problems or issues in your area for a spiritual and soul-based solution to such things. Okay, I think that's it for now. Again, thank you, Mr. Keshe, and thanks to everyone for being here today.